Walton wouldn't be Bud Walton if it weren't for Eddie Sutton, who made Barnhill, and therefore we had to have a Bud Walton arena. Eric Musselman would not be your coach right now if it weren't for Eddie Sutton, because he put Arkansas on the map in terms of a big-time program, and that still resonates with college coaches out there and people out there that understand the history of the game. And for Arkansas to have two Hall of Fame coaches in Nolan Richardson and Eddie Sutton in recent history, really, that have been a part of their program and led their program, and that's a huge blessing to this state.
This is ESPN college basketball analyst and former Razorback Jimmy Dykes, and you're listening to The Morning Rush.
Let's go straight to the phone lines and welcome in ESPN college basketball analyst and former Razorback women's head coach Jimmy Dykes to the phone lines this morning. Coach, good morning. Thanks for making some time for us.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's game day, so it's a good day for all of us.
Yeah. Coach is on call for the Arkansas LSU game tonight, and we'll get into more of kind of the analytics and kind of dissect this game. But I wonder, Jimmy, from your perspective, and I know it's been a little different for you this year calling games. You, Tom Hart, so many of your colleagues at ESPN have been doing this remotely. What challenges has that presented you as a analyst when it comes to doing these games?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I probably have done half my games on location and half of them at home, and I think that number at home is going to continue to grow for us. So I think the challenge is what I see to call the game from is exactly what you guys see on your TV. I'm not seeing anything different, and so I'm missing seeing the coaches on the sidelines call out plays. I'm seeing, I'm missing the body language of players that aren't in the frame. And just the feel for the game, that's kind of a knack, I think, or after you've done it for so many years, just being there right on the court level, and a feel for the officials, a feel for the calls in the game, feels for momentum in the arena, all those things that we rely on so much as an analyst. Hopefully, to describe it to the viewers, we have to really search and almost guess at times what's going on, but we're making making the most of a very challenging time for all of us, really. And like I said, it's really a blessing tonight just to be playing a game, be broadcasting a game, be watching a game, because we know that there's no guarantees right now in what we're doing, what any of us are doing, actually.
And Jimmy, I think one of the other things, this is what I talk with our buddy Phil Elson about, who and he enjoys just experiencing the college town itself. And I know that you get in to visit other SC, not just the venue itself, but just the different restaurants and just atmospheres within these towns. And I know, obviously, we'll take college basketball over not college basketball, but that's also got to be a bummer for you that you're just kind of staying put rather than getting to go to all these places.
Well, in full truthfulness, the only thing I miss is the game day practice and the practice the day before when I'm there, because that's where I really can get kind of behind the scenes of the game within the game and what's going to go on. And those game day shoot-arounds, they're so specific in how they're going to cover certain actions and what they're going to do offensively. And we sit right there, and that's a 1 hour Cliff Notes version for us in terms of what to look for in the game. So I don't miss going to the airport. Yeah. I don't miss the rental cars. I don't miss the hotels. I don't miss being away from my family. I don't miss 2.5 days of travel and being gone for a 2-hour game. There's a lot of things I don't miss, but I certainly do miss the preparation and the interaction with the coaches. I got some really good friends that are head coaches in the SEC, and I miss seeing them face-to-face.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about practice. You bring that up because I know that's where you really evaluate a lot of things. So let me ask you, before we talk about the Arkansas-LSU game coming up, how much of Arkansas's practice have you gotten to see just with your proximity to the campus?
None. No. Yeah, none. It's a situation that I've only had Arkansas now. This might be my third game of the year for them. So we're very cautious with ESPN in terms of where we're going, even we're at home, and running the risk of having a virus and stepping into a situation where you could, infect other people. So we're all just very, very cautious where we're going with our time. So what does help is I get to watch practices at times through coaches, and they'll just set up a video for me to watch. So I haven't had the luxury to do that yet with Arkansas, but there's been a lot of tape studied. I can tell you that. I relied on watching a lot of tape in years past, but this year it has really accelerated because that's what we have to go by. So, that and contacts, I've talked with the last two teams that played Arkansas. I've talked with the last two teams that played LSU to get a feel from their coaching staff, what they think the strengths and weaknesses are. So it's like everybody else. You have to be able to pivot in a hurry and make changes and all those things. It's just like this week.
Yeah.
At one point, I was going to do Alabama, Kentucky. Then within 2 hours, I was going to do Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and then that gets canceled with COVID. So now you wake up this morning saying, okay, Arkansas, LSU, you're up. Let's go. Let's get there. Let's get that ball tipped off. Let's go.
Flexibility is maybe one of the key words for this year. So,
yeah.
How do you see this game tonight? Two teams that, at least for the year, averaging mid-80s, both of them very similar on paper when you stack their stats side by side, allowing upper 60s, right around 70 points. It seems like this is going to be a fast-paced game tonight that you guys will be calling with both teams maybe not quite scoring to their averages for the year, but probably going to be a game in the 70s, maybe the low 80s tonight if the stats bear true.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right because neither team's afraid to run with the other team. LSU, you look at them, I don't know if Cameron Thomas is going to play, and if he is, if he's going to be full speed. Just a dynamic scorer in college basketball as a whole across the country, but certainly in the freshman class. Got a real chance to be the SEC Player of the Year as a freshman. I think he leads the league in scoring still. He's a big-time 6'4" shooting guard, draws a ton of fouls. Like, you look at Cameron Thomas for LSU guys and Darius Days and Trendon Watford and Javonte Smart. Those are four guys that can all go get 20 on any night. And that's a dynamic four, maybe as good as we have in this league in terms of four guys on one team that can just go get offense for you. So Arkansas defensively is going to have to, limit, slow down, make it really hard for those guys to get their points. Because if you don't, man, those guys can go now. And Eric knows that. And Eric knows the importance of defense in this game. So on the flip side, LSU's got their problems as well. I think Moses Moody is a tremendous first-year college basketball player. The game's easy to him. He doesn't play easy. The guy plays really, really hard, but you can move him around the floor. Eric's not taking him off the floor either. I think he's averaging about 38 minutes a game right now, so that tells you the value that the coach has in the guy. And then J.D. Note is, he's Arkansas's leading scorer in conference play. He can just go get his own, and you have to live with his 3 or 4 shots a game, I think, as a coach that aren't ideal because those other, 9 or 10 shots that he gets up can win games for you. So you got to play your best, though, on the road, and you can't have guys, Desi Sills, VanOvert. I'll tell you the same thing I'm going to say on the air tonight. Those guys got to play. They can't go on the road and not play well, and they have not played well in 2 out of the last 3 ball games. So it's going to take all hands on deck, and I'm a big fan of Devo Davis. Big fan of Devo Davis. That's the kind of guy I want with me on the road because that dude has no fear. I don't care if he's only a freshman. That guy's got no fear. You got to have that in that locker room tonight if you're Arkansas.
Jimmy Dykes with us here on the Morning Rush, ESPN college basketball analyst. Coach, one of the things I've said about Moses Moody is I think it's important for him to be a one-and-done for Arkansas. And not everyone agrees with that. Not everyone is fond of that. But in order for Arkansas to get back to the days of Nolan Richardson or your head coach, the late Eddie Sutton, you have to change with the times. Coach K has changed with the times with these one-and-dones, and you have to prove, Eric Musselman has to prove that you can come to Arkansas and be a one-and-done player. Now, it has to be a mix of transfers, one-and-dones, just young freshmen. It's a good cohesive unit. Is that a good argument for me to have that Arkansas needs one-and-dones in order to compete for a national championship?
Man, I hate to disagree with you. The first time I'm on the show with you guys.
Go ahead.
But the game is is going the other direction now in terms of old is what everybody's after. And with the transfer rule, I believe, coming into play, where that one-time transfer rule on top of the grad transfers immediately eligible, that's where the recruiting is going to be done. That's where championship teams are going to be built on top of teams that have 2 or 3 guys that are not one and done, but they're really good college players that don't get spooked by the noise. They don't get drug into, I was a top 25 guy out of high school. I was projected to be a one-year guy. I've got to go whether I'm ready or not. You want guys that stay on their own path and grow and develop, and maybe they don't leave till after their sophomore or junior year on top of grad transfers and first-year transfers. That's the way it's going in recruiting from the coaches that I talk to. So is it bad to have a guy that comes in and he is legitimately good enough to just play college ball 1 year and be a first-round draft pick? Absolutely it's not. I mean, that's a great thing. But I don't think right now at all that the momentum is build your team around one-and-done guys and bring in the best talent that you can. Look at Kentucky last night. It's not working. It's not working. Not like it did at one point. So I think Eric's on track to. Eric has recruiting down as well as anyone right now. He's getting really good high school talent, and he's getting really, really good transfers.
Coach, and maybe I didn't word that great, and I don't, because I want to rephrase this. I'm not talking about 5 one-and-dones. I'm talking about 1, maybe 2. And I'll give you an example. So Gonzaga, Jalen Suggs, as good as he's been this season, or you look at Greg Brown at Texas, it's like a combination. Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 2. I'm not like the full amount, but like what you spoke to, the transfers, the veteran guys, those are important cogs when you think about some of the teams that made it, because Duke has had those, North Carolina's had those, Kentucky's had those to a certain extent. It can't be all one-and-dones, but if Arkansas is still going to compete for an SEC championship or compete for a national championship, in my opinion, you can't do that without at least a one-and-done player. Is that more of a fair argument to have, that Arkansas can't win a national championship without at least one-and-done guy? Well,
I would say go back and look at the last 3 or 4 national champions, and they've all been old. I don't believe they've started a one-and-done guy. So I understand what you're saying. That like if you have a chance to get one, no one's going to turn one down. I don't think you build your program though around trying to get 4 or 5 in, and Eric's not doing that. Like he's got the best balance. So that's I just think that's a real positive for Arkansas in recruiting right now. They have a head coach that I think he's kind of been out in front of the curve, in front of the trend. Even going back to his days at Nevada, he was setting the bar in terms of you can do this off of transfers if they're the right ones with the right agendas when you bring them in. And Eric does a fantastic job of identifying those kind of guys that are gonna fit with the personality, the culture, the belief that they have over there on the Hill right now.
Yeah. Jimmy Dykes will be on the call tonight as Arkansas travels to Baton Rouge, taking on LSU. Connor VanOvert's an interesting conversation as he's been in the lineup, but his minutes have certainly fluctuated as the style of the game that you're going to play and his defensive assignment. Jimmy, this seems like a game tonight that maybe the pace will be a little bit too quick, or the defensive assignment's going to be a challenge for him, as this is going to be a transition game. How do you see Connor's role? I mean, I know that 7-3 is attractive to a lot of fans, but this game, is this going to be a fit for him tonight to have a considerable amount of minutes? For him, that might be somewhere in the 20s, or is this going to be a game like the last one where his minutes will be limited?
I mean, that's a great question, and I don't think we know, because you have to factor in tonight that Arkansas is down to 9 available scholarship guys. Good point. So now that bench, you got 4 guys sitting over there, and with foul trouble at other positions, maybe it's a game that VanOvert has to stay on the floor, and maybe that ends up working out to Arkansas's favor, because LSU is not a tall team. They're not great around the rim, so it's going to be, man, that's a gut feel decision for Musselman tonight in terms of what's he giving up on one end, because maybe VanOvert defensively is struggling to get out and defend away from the rim, but is he delivering on the other end? So it's that's a great question within the game that I've already talked about with Tom Harton, our producer tonight, that we really need to watch what VanOvert does in the game and what Musselman does with him in the game and what Will Wade does to VanOvert when he's in the game, because he's so unique with his length and his ability to knock down a three-point shot. You just got to start making them. I think he's 2 out of 14 in SEC play. If you're going to play a guy that's a stretch five, then he's got to be a legitimate stretch five. He can't just shoot the three. He's got to make at least 33, 35%.
Yeah. All right, last one before we let you go. What's one or two things in this game tonight, either way, LSU or Arkansas, some keys by, say, the second media timeout that may indicate which way this thing's going? What's some things we need to be watching for early in this ball game?
Yeah, both coaches are very concerned with the other team's ability to get offensive rebounds. Like they are very, very concerned with that. Like it might be the number one key written on both whiteboards tonight in both locker rooms. So I would watch closely early which team is securing defensive rebounds, because we all know what that does is, bam, the fast break is off and running. And that's what both teams want to do, but they can't run if they don't have the ball. So I think you've got to win that offensive rebound battle. That's probably the first thing I would look for in this game. And I think the second thing is the health of Cameron Thomas. He's so good. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Arkansas has watched him play yet, but he is so good. And he may not show that tonight because of a bum ankle, but he's a legitimate first-round pick, a legitimate lead the league in scoring, big guard that has a high usage rate. And if he's on and that ankle doesn't look like it's bothering him, you'll know by the second media timeout, and that would not be the best news for Arkansas.
Yeah, 5-star kid out of Virginia. He has performed up to date. Coach Jimmy Dykes, college basketball analyst at ESPN, also former Razorback, former Arkansas women's head coach. Coach, good luck on the broadcast tonight, and we appreciate you making some time for us here on the Morning Rush.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. I listen to you every morning driving my daughter to school. Have a good day.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Uh-huh.
All right, Jimmy Dykes, we can hear him tonight on the broadcast, as Ty mentioned.